It's Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha and the managing editor of the Washington Free Beacon, Aaron Maclean. Thank you both for joining us again this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So now we're done, the first and only debate between the two. Let's begin with foreign policy. And Aaron, I'll begin with you, but let's listen to this, what the two had to say on that.
Donald Trump and I are committed to suspending the Syrian refugee program and programs and immigration from areas of the world that have been compromised by terrorism.
We got to keep taking out their leaders on the battlefield. We got to disrupt financing networks, disrupt their ability to recruit on the internet in their safe havens.
Aaron, what do you think? Who won that? How would you grade them?
Well, look, I think this round goes to Mike Pence. Tim Kaine had a huge challenge on foreign policy, which is that if you look out at the world right now, things are not going very well. He also has a difficult challenge in that he can't really separate Hillary out from Obama's actions, even though in some ways it would be fair for him to do so, because Hillary actually was a slightly more hawkish voice inside the administration in the first term on issues like withdrawing from Iraq and taking a tougher line on Assad. But he can't afford to create that space between them right now. So he's stuck with whatever Obama has done. I think Pence did an effective job in presenting, as he put it, a case for strong American leadership in contrast to the 8 years of Obama, which Kaine is stuck with promoting.
Yeah, so the bottom line, Chuck, is America less safe, as Pence said repeatedly, or, some of the benefits of Clinton during her time as Secretary of State? They pointed to the Iranian nuclear weapons program. Kaine kept talking about that. What's your grade?
Well, I think that on appearance, Pence did probably a better job. Kaine come across last night as that stereotypical VP debate attack dog. Now, does that play? Does it not play? Well, I think we'll find that out. At the end of the day, I don't think the overall debate will have a huge effect on polling. But what the conservatives and the Donald Trump crowd needed to see was exactly what Mike Pence delivered last night, was calm conservatism. He was good on camera, and he delivered his points right. Now, Kaine had some great zingers, and he came in, but he was interrupting a lot. But at the end of the day, neither one of them just did not need to mess up any, and I think it was an even playing field. I'd give Pence a little bit of a lead just because of the appearance.
Yeah, some of those zingers seemed very rehearsed, though. What about immigration? Let's listen to what they both had to say about that.
Hillary and I want a bipartisan reform that will put keeping families together as the top goal.
To remove criminal aliens, remove people that have overstayed their visas, then we'll deal with those that remain.
All right, Chuck, you begin on this. The grade for both of them.
I think that they would both have a B because they're both playing to two different audiences. And right now, we talked about this yesterday on the undecided vote in the middle. Let's take North Carolina, for example. In North Carolina, over the last year, there's been 60,000 new Latinos registered to vote there. Now, will they turn out, or were they motivated last night from what they see? There were two real distinct different visions for immigration last night, both of them playing to their bases. Whoever was listening and whoever can capitalize that and get it out into the field will be the one who makes the biggest grades off of both sides.
Aaron, what do you think?
Well, a lot of people have said that Mike Pence is a kind of interpreter of Donald Trump. I think he's more of a translator. He takes Donald Trump's more outlandish statements, especially in the case of immigration, and makes them sound like responsible conservative policy positions with a focus on border security, with a sort of sustained responsible critique of amnesty. Tim Kaine, on the other hand, I think I'm not sure really what he's thinking when he and Hillary get into this full embrace of the Syrian refugee program. I suppose this appeals to some elements of their base. Perhaps they're doing it on principle. But when they suggest that the only legitimate position to take is that you welcome all Syrian refugees and that security concerns are basically dismissible, I think that does not play well to critical elements of the electorate this time around.
And Pence was able to obviously point to Paris and also talk about Germany. Finally, very quickly, this is what they had to say about the economy.
The state of Indiana has balanced budgets. We cut taxes. We made record investments in education and in infrastructure. That's a little bit different than when Senator Kaine was governor here in Virginia. He actually tried to raise taxes by about $4 billion.
I'm proud because her vision of stronger together, building an economy that works for all, not just those at the top, being safe in the world, not only with a strong military.
All right, so very quickly, Aaron, your grade on this.
I think Mike Pence had one of the strongest lines of the night when Tim Kaine was presenting a rosy vision of things, and Pence responded with, well, look, the people in Scranton see it differently. I thought that was a killer line, and it's true. The economic benefits of the last 8 years are not evenly distributed, and that's the core of the Pence-Trump campaign.
And then, of course, Kaine's line, you're either hired or you're fired. Chuck, finally, your grade.
Well, I think that this could have gone either way. I think that we have had a robust recovery, but the problem is the average working person hasn't really felt it. This is going to be a change electorate, so Kane's in a tough position having to defend the Obama economy. Even though it's gotten better, the average working person hasn't felt that recovery at home, and I think that's why that's such a challenge for Democrats at this point.
Yeah, and in his state specifically. All right, thank you both for joining us. We'll bring you back, though, so don't go tonight, and where we find Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha and the managing editor of Washington Free Beacon, Aaron Maclean, who are both here to grade the candidates for us. Thank you both for sticking around with us. You know, it kind of became a I know I am, but what are you kind of thing, the back and forth. It's like whose candidate had insulted the other the worst. Chuck, let's start with foreign policy and what they managed to get in on that. Listen.
Donald Trump and I are committed to suspending the Syrian refugee program and programs and immigration from areas of the world that have been compromised by terrorism.
We got to keep taking out their leaders on the battlefield. We got to disrupt financing networks, disrupt their ability to recruit on the internet in their safe havens.
So, Chuck, what's your grade? Who do you think did better?
Well, I think it was kind of a toss-up on this particular issue. They both had things that they had to accomplish last night. The first thing was do no harm to the top of the ticket. Don't be a press headline today. That was accomplished. B, I think Mike Pence got a little bit ahead, and a little bit ahead in a good way, because he needed to make conservatives feel comfortable with their own nominee and let them know that there was a policy stalwart who's going to kind of represent them and their policy ideas. And I think he actually did a really good job last night of doing that, and he is good in his presentation. I think Tim Kaine was the attack dog. He was the attack dog like normally happens in vice presidential debates. And so I think that's what you saw last night. And as far as the foreign policy, we're in an age where these conservative voters want to make sure that in the suburbs of Philadelphia and other places that their insecurities are met and worried about, because with the terrorism that's happening on our own soil, anything could happen.
But, Aaron, were they able to actually answer that in any clear way? Because we've been talking about the number of interruptions. When it came to terrorism alone, Kaine interrupted Pence 9 times. So who do you think won?
No. I think that the edge went to Pence overall, and on the national security foreign policy issue in particular. The interruptions for Kaine really went too far. I think he was trying to replicate a kind of Joe Biden-Paul Ryan dynamic from 2012, but he's not Joe Biden, and Mike Pence is certainly not Paul Ryan as far as the debating skills and chops at this point are concerned. And Kaine in particular jumped the shark when he interrupted to say that, you know, he saw 9/11 too, which was just kind of this ridiculous moment. On the foreign policy substance, yeah, I think they got into some of the details. Again, I think the edge went to Pence. He had an easy case to prosecute, which is that things aren't going well under Obama. Kaine has no choice but to align Hillary's record with Obama's. He can't create any daylight there. Pence made the case, and I think he was effective.
Yeah, Chuck, one of the issues that Donald Trump has made front and center from the very beginning of this campaign, that's immigration. Who do you think did a better job on that?
Man, I think that they really put their policy positions out there, and I was glad to hear the policy debate on what their visions are for immigration. On each side, they're talking to two different parts of the electorate who want to hear two different things. Pence riled up their bases, which they really need that turnout, and then Kaine came back to the middle ground on that piece to make sure that those voters in Virginia, in rural Ohio, heard that. So they kind of give each to each part of their constituency that they really need as a turnout. Right now, we talked about this yesterday. I'm more worried about the turnout and what's going to motivate people. Maybe these policy positions of each side staking out their positions is a path in the right direction to see if we can actually get some enthusiasm back in this debate.
Aaron, finally, the #1 issue that does tend to motivate people and get them out, that being the economy. Who did a better job with that?
Well, look, I think Mike Pence had just a killer line when Tim Kaine was prosecuting his case that the economy was just kind of hunky-dory and everything was rosy under Obama. And Pence said that, look, in Scranton, the people know different. I think that's true. I think that goes to the core of the Trump campaign's appeal, that the economic gains or growth that has occurred under Obama and the recovery from the 2008 financial crisis has not been evenly spread across the country. In this respect, the Republican Party has kind of taken inequality in a way on as an issue of its own. So again, I think this is another area where there was a slight edge for Pence.
I think he did a good job talking about the economy specific to their individual states as well. Thank you both for joining us. Chuck, we're missing your hat. We want you to bring that back next time. Thank you.
All righty.